Greetings, true believers. Menacer here, your favorite Mega Mecha pilot. In this video, we are continuing to look at Venture City. If you missed the first video, there is a link to it below. To play a Fate game like Venture City, you need to have Fate dice. Fate dice are six-sided and have two blank sides, two minus sides, and two plus sign sides. When you are making a check, you are usually using a skill, and at character creation, you would have already decided on a value for that skill from 1 to 4. You typically roll 4 fate die and tally the results, which would then get added to or subtracted from your skill value, and from there, the GM will let you know if you failed, tied, succeeded, or succeeded with style. Venture City used to have a one-page fillable character sheet PDF. I have one downloaded from years ago, but I couldn't find one for you online today. You can still use the standard Fate character sheet. I put a link to a form fillable PDF below. It has space to enter the names of everything your character should have, but since this is a video for beginners, and because it's my own personal preference, I use my own character sheet that can be as many pages long as needed in order to copy, paste the full definitions of powers, paste a picture, and more. Some people choose their powers first, but the most important thing is your character's high concept. This will tell you who the character is and what they do in a few simple words or perhaps a short sentence. From there, you can choose what troubles your character. Keep in mind that anything you put on your character sheet is something you want in the collective story that you will help to shape along with the other players and the GM. Opposing forces or obstacles are needed in order to make the game interesting. You shouldn't have the mindset of, I win everything all the time, because that's not very interesting. Don't be afraid to explore troubles, but do make sure the trouble you choose is something you are comfortable role-playing, or at least is something you are comfortable having in the game sessions from time to time. In addition to being a hardship for your character, a trouble is something that can be compelled against you by the GM, who will give you a fate point if you allow her to invoke it. Also, you can ask the GM to compel your trouble if you think it'll be interesting in the current scene. If she agrees, she will award you a fate point and invoke it. Aspects are similar to high concepts in that they help to further define who your character is or what they do in the world. The best aspects can be read both positively and negatively so that you can spend a fate point to help you when you are doing something that deals with an aspect you invoke, and the GM might be able to invoke against you to cause you some hardship and award you a fate point for allowing it. I've included a link below to the wikirpg.net website so you can reference it when you need inspiration for creating your own high concepts, troubles, or aspects. At your discretion, you can spend a fate point to invoke any of your aspects, your high concept, or even your trouble to add +2 to a roll you just made that needs a little extra help. Alternatively, you can spend a fate point to invoke any of them to reroll all the die you just rolled. You can spend more than one fate point and invoke more than one of your aspects, etc. The effects can stack. The only caveat is the GM and other players should agree that whatever you are invoking makes sense for you to get a bonus on whatever roll you are making. Let's talk about refresh. Everyone starts at a refresh of 3. This means your character starts with 3 fate points at the start of each session, unless of course your character ended a previous session with more and the GM allowed them to carry over. At character creation and at certain advancements, you can permanently give up 1 or 2 refresh so that you can purchase 1 or 2 additional stunts or powers. No one's listed refresh can ever be higher than 3 or less than 1. You must always retain at least 1 refresh. Then we have your skills. There are 18 official skills, but you only start with 10. You get to choose what skills you have and how effective each skill is. Any skill you don't list as having is considered to be at skill level 0, so you can make untrained skill checks and let the fate dice and fate points determine how good you happen to be at a skill at any given time. Fate Core and Venture City use a skill pyramid. At the bottom you have the most, 4 skills at +1. Above that, you get 3 skills at +2. Above that, you get 2 skills at +3. And finally on the top, you have 1 skill at +4. At certain character advancements, you can choose to gain a new skill, but you can never have an amount of upper row skills that are greater than the rows underneath. These two skills are important to note: physique and will. Everyone starts with two physical stress boxes and two mental stress boxes, no matter what. If you take the skill physique at +1 or +2, then you get one additional physical stress box. If you take the skill will at +1 or +2, then you get one additional mental stress box. If you take either skill in +3 or +4, then you get a second additional stress box associated with that skill for a total of 4 stress boxes associated with that skill. Stress boxes get filled in to absorb damage. If you run out of spaces to absorb damage, then you are incapacitated and out of the remainder of the encounter. There are a few other noteworthy skills. Athletics is often used to dodge ranged attacks, and the skills fight and shoot are often how characters attack. Depending on your GM and the circumstances, athletics might also be used for initiative in place of the skill notice. All the skills are important, but you can't select all of them, and they can't all be your best skill. So you have to choose what skills your character has and how strong each one is. Most people choose their powers first because different powers utilize different skills, and you will probably want your preferred power to have the skill it uses as high as you can get it. Now, let's take a look at an example character. This is Biclops. His high concept is confident leader of powerful mutants. This tells you something about who he is and what he does in the world. His trouble is, I accidentally married my girlfriend's clone. Since I'm the one who wrote down this trouble, this is something I am comfortable role-playing, or at least I'm comfortable with coming up at game sessions every now and then. One of his aspects is, even my evil twin is a good guy. This helps to further define who this character is and what he does. It can be read both positively and negatively, so I hope that it will help to get him out of trouble occasionally, and I know the GM might use it against him every now and then too. We see that this character has a refresh of 3. This means he starts each gaming session with 3 fate points. It should also mean that he has spent all 6 available stunts to buy powers and skill stunts, etc., and has not dipped into his reserve of refresh to purchase any additional ones. Let's take a look at this character's mental and physical stress boxes. We know that every player character starts with 2 mental and 2 physical stress boxes, no matter what. Because this character has a physique skill at +1 or +2, he gets 1 additional physical stress box for a total of 3 physical stress boxes. Let's take a minute to go over how you use stress boxes. Each stress box has a number associated with it, for example, 1 and 2. Each numbered box can absorb up to that many points of damage. The higher the number, the more damage a box can potentially absorb. Each time you take damage, you have to mark off a stress box. Whenever you mark off a stress box, you are marking off the entire stress box. Nothing gets left over to be used next time. For example, if you need to mark off the 3 physical stress box to absorb just 1 point of damage, the 3 physical stress box gets marked off and can no longer be used. Stress boxes can heal easily in Venture City, but if you ever needed to, you could mark off a consequence. The 3 standard consequences are mild, moderate, and severe. Mild consequences absorb up to 2 points of damage and is the easiest consequence to get healed. Moderate consequences can absorb up to 4 points of damage and might take longer than a gaming session to heal. Severe consequences can absorb up to 6 points of damage and can take many game sessions to heal. If ever you don't have any places to absorb damage, you are incapacitated and out of the fight. It is worth noting that surrender is always an option. You gain a fate point whenever you surrender, but you also give up all narrative control over what happens. However, it is expected that your character will survive. Getting back to our homemade character, let's take a look at his drawbacks. We see there is only 1 drawback selected, so this should mean he only has 1 basic power. His drawback is a side effect of his basic power that is always in effect as long as his basic power is, and it makes his life a little more difficult. His drawback says, you don't have true control over your blasts. Energy pours out of you non-stop, but you have safety equipment to hold it in check until you need to fire. You need a mask to protect those around you. I copied this drawback directly off the Fate SRD website from the Power Energy Blast. However, I could just as easily have copied it directly from the Venture City PDF. I'll let you read through our hero's selected basic power and power enhancements. What is important at this time is to confirm that this is a legal Venture City character, and in this section, that means checking that he spent no more than 6 stunts to purchase his powers, skill stunts, etc. The basic power Energy Blast cost 1 stunt. I see our hero spent 3 stunts on Master Energy Blast. The Master Power enhancements can usually be purchased multiple times, but do keep in mind that the stronger your character is, the stronger the GM has to make enemies for your character to face. This may mean additional work for the GM, so check with the GM before taking Master Power enhancements. I see that our hero spent 1 stunt to purchase the power enhancement Defensive Blasts. This is an interesting enhancement because it allows the player to use the shoot skill instead of athletics to avoid ranged attacks, as long as the player is aware of the attack. In total, I see only 5 stunts used to purchase powers or skill stunts, etc. It is perfectly fine to start playing without selecting everything that you need to, and to discover over a few game sessions what you need to complete the character sheet. In this case, however, I see that this character spent 1 stunt to purchase 2 additional special effects to choose from whenever he succeeds with style or spends a fate point when simply succeeding on a check that uses his power. Finally, I see that this character has only 1 collateral damage effect because he has only 1 basic power. This concludes the tutorial on playing Venture City. If you have any questions or need any additional information, you can comment below. You can also email Evil Hat directly. They responded to me every time I emailed them a new question when learning to play their Dresden Files game, so I'm sure they would help you too. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Menacer reminding you to always deploy the sword.